Are you having a good conference? Getting tired or hanging in there? I know. I know. And also kind of hard to stay in bed. I woke up at 5 and then I was kind of too excited to go back to sleep. Are you getting some good insights? Yeah. How are you going to remember them? Do you have a little notebook or? Okay, yeah, I like that too. I call them my takeaways. Okay, what are my big takeaways from this workshop, from this and that? So, kind of creating a summary as you go. Otherwise, you get back home and then you forget. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start for us just because I like starting on time because I want to really, honor your time for being here, which I appreciate. So this is the Homeschooling High School, Dispelling the Myths. And let's see, everyone has a copy of the Let's Homeschool High School resource book. My name is Rebecca Kokendorfer. I'm the founder of homeschool.com. I homeschooled for 20 years, all the way from preschool up through high school graduation. And also because I was the founder of homeschool.com, I had the honor and pleasure to work with tens of thousands of homeschooling families for 20 years. So I feel like now it is my purpose and my great honor to pass the baton on to you, to do for you what other veteran homeschoolers did for me when I was starting out. So one of the things I really want to accomplish this day, this workshop, is to comfort you. Because I know that homeschooling high school, you feel a little angsty about it. It's a different game. But I have some tips for you today and some information that I'm hoping will make you feel more confident, because I think that you are incredibly bold and brave even to be considering this. So give yourself a pat on the back, because I know it's difficult because most people are going off to high school and you're daring to envision a different future for your children and your family. So how wonderfully bold are you? By a show of hands, who is it that are any of you currently homeschooling high school? 1, 2. You will be. And what grade is your child?
I just taught a 9th grader, and now this year I'll have 9th and 10th.
9th and 10th. So what are you hoping to get out of this workshop?
I want to know how I can manage wearing the mom hat and the teacher hat without destroying relationship in the meantime.
That's so great. So her kind of number one goal, what she's hoping to get out of today, is how to wear the mom hat and the teacher hat and not destroy any relationships. That is so good. And that means that I would say that your goal, put it into positive language. So your goal is to homeschool in a way that your relationships with your children is even stronger. So you set an intention before you start. That my intention is that this experience, that we are all closer, we're a closer family and have a closer relationship because of this wonderful experience. You're welcome. And who else was it that's been homeschooling? Yes, please. What are you hoping to get out of the workshop?
Just focus on what I'm doing so that I don't stray. And so to reiterate what she said as well.
Yeah.
Just encouragement to keep going.
Okay, so she wants to focus because she has a fear of straying. She wants to make sure she has a good relationship with her children. And what was the last thing that you said?
Just hope.
It was good. And hope. Yeah, and starting out with hope. That whole idea of straying, that is so very homeschooler. Because no matter how old our children are, the number one fear that we have, the anxiety that we carry with us all the time is, oh my gosh, I might get behind. I'm behind. So that's kind of a negative self-fulfilling prophecy that we keep saying over and over and over again. If you listen to you talk and your friends talk, it's always about, oh, we're so behind, we're so behind, we're so behind. And you know that just creates what? A feeling of always being behind. And that means that you could put in 20 hours a day, and this experience that you're going to have is that you are behind. So are you familiar with self-fulfilling prophecy? It's a prediction that you make about yourself that inevitably comes true. So with your high school, let's make sure that we're using languaging that gives us a positive prediction of our future. So since your fear is that you're going to stray, then a positive affirmation, a positive philosophy that you might want to have is that I have confidence that we are doing just what we need to do, that we are working at the pace that is right for us. I have faith and confidence that all is well and all will be well. Because I can tell you that it is well and it will be well. You know, it's easy for me to say that now that I've already kind of gone through the trial by fire. But when I interviewed veteran homeschoolers and I said, okay, you've been through it now, what's your number one piece of advice? Do you know what they said? They said that if life had a rewind button, they wished that they had relaxed more, worried less, enjoyed more. So maybe if you can, find some kind of a token or find some kind of a saying that helps you stay the course so that you can enjoy this beautiful experience that you have. Because when you get down in the weeds, into the thick of it, you know, we kind of lose our way a little bit and we forget that big overarching positive experience that it is that we're hoping to have. So that feeling of straying, come up with a sentence that starting right now, you know, don't let yourself say or your children say, we're so behind. I just surveyed Homeschool.com's product testers and I said, you know, what are your goals for the summer and what are your fears? And they all said, oh, we're just so behind. We want to spend the summer getting caught up. Oh my gosh, you're never going to get caught up. Like in life, right? You're going to have a to-do list. Your to-do list is never completely done. And I don't even know if we really want to complete our to-do list because I don't think it would feel very good. Because having things that we want to accomplish gives us a positive energy that draws us forward. But let's make sure that it is a positive energy. Oh, there are so many things, you know, like that idea of so many books, so little time. What a wonderful positive feeling that has. So that's different here too. It's like, oh, there are so many wonderful things that we want to learn, so many great things to do. We're just going to do as many as we can. One time I was on the airplane, I'd been on a vacation with my parents to Hawaii, and I was lamenting the fact, you know, that I had a whole list of all the things I wanted to do in Hawaii, because I'm one of those list makers. And I said, oh, but I only did 6 out of the 10. And she said, honey, let this be a philosophy for life. Celebrate the 6 things that you did do. Don't put all of your focus on the 4 things that you didn't. In a way, it's kind of an ungrateful attitude, isn't it? And we want to be grateful about our experiences. So let's put our focus on all the things that we are accomplishing, all the beauty that is in our life. Because what we think about, that's what we're telling our subconscious that we're going to notice. So if we say phrases and we feel like I'm straying, what is your experience going to be? One of not enough, one of lack, one of straying, and that's a joy killer. And if nothing else, my goodness, let's set the goal that we're going to enjoy this experience with our high schoolers. Because there's no way that you're going to be able to teach them every body of knowledge in the universe. It's not possible, right? Especially now in the information age. It is not mathematically possible. But we can teach them how to learn. We can give them a love of learning. We can model for them how much we love learning and how we are learning all the time. And now we're giving them a foundation to go off. Did you know that they're going to change careers, according to Bill Gates, something like 20 to 30 times in their lifetime? So they're going to be learning things constantly. And as I mentioned, I'm the founder of Homeschool.com, but I didn't major in internet when I was in college. You know why? The internet didn't exist, right? So we are constantly changing and growing. So look for that. One of my pieces of advice for you, I talked about yesterday in our Homeschooling and Loving It, is focus on growth. Focus on what we are learning, how they are growing, not on where they are weak. Gosh, it's so negative. And that's the habit in our society. It's kind of a human habit. And it's a biological imperative because we are designed to protect ourselves. We're prairie dogs. We're coming out and we're always looking for who's going to come and attack us. So we have to keep choosing happiness and joy over and over and over again because our default position is one of defense and protection. but you just acknowledge that, but you don't want to make that necessarily your experience. Because in reality, we're not being attacked all the time. You know, if you watch the news, you start to think that we are. But in reality, crime statistics are down, the economy is better. So try to focus on what it is that you want and focus on growth. Now, who in the room is new, who's going to be homeschooling high school for the first time? Okay, so now let's start out a little bit. Let's look the devil in the eye and let's talk about what your fears are. Because there are anxieties and concerns when you start to homeschool the younger children, but there are fears when you're talking about high school, because high school is a different game and we know that the stakes are high. And we know that we have to begin on a certain path depending on where we want to end up. So let's talk about that a little bit. For example, if you are on the college path, you're going to design a different high school experience than if you are on the trade path. You know, now for my children, they didn't think that they wanted to go to college, but we had the talk and I said, you know what, let's just homeschool as if you're going to want to go to college. Because your dad and I went to college, we enjoyed it very much. Sure, maybe it's expensive, you know, maybe it's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. But why don't we at least, you know, leave that possibility open to you? So we did the 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of science, 4 years of history. And you know what? They all ended up choosing to go to college. Even my ballerina, she did ballet and modeling for a while, but then of course you outgrow that very quickly. And she's now graduating from the London School of Economics with a master's in marketing. So it's kind of nice to talk with our kids too, is that you just never know where you're going to end up. So why don't we homeschool high school so that you have options? It's not any harder. It's just different. As I mentioned, the colleges are looking for 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 years of science, 4 years of history, 4 years of foreign language. And they don't really care where you get that. They don't really care what curriculum you're using because the SAT and ACTs are the entrance scores. So no matter whether you're coming from a Waldorf school, a Catholic school, a public school, a homeschool, everybody passes through the same gate for college admissions, and that's the SAT and ACT. And I'm not a fan of testing for the younger years, but I get it for the older children, because we have so many educational choices in this country, which I think is so beautiful. It kind of makes sense that that's when we have the standardized, the standardized testing as the entrance then into the higher education. So many homeschoolers, they begin prepping for those SAT and ACT tests, even sometimes in junior high school. Not under pressure, but with vocabulary and using the study books, and the kids feel kind of good about it. And did you know that homeschoolers score higher on the SAT and ACT than do private school students or public school students? Homeschoolers score the highest. Here's another comfort for you too. Did you know that you only actually have to homeschool high school 4 hours a day to have a high quality education? So for elementary school, you can do it in 1 hour a day of quality work. In high school, it's 4 hours a day. And you know why? It's because when the kids are in the classroom, there is a lot of lost time for discipline, passing out papers, collecting the papers, and in fact, only 10 minutes on every hour is actually on task. Yeah, there's a lot of lost time. And nobody's really happy about that. But homeschoolers, that's where we really get to rule, because we don't have to homeschool for 7 hours or 8 hours. So 4 hours a day, studies show, of focused learning for your teens can get them an excellent, rich education. Another benefit of homeschooling high school too is that you can train them to take charge of their own education. And we'll talk more about that too when we're talking about dispelling the myths. But I loved homeschooling high school. But one of my daughters, I didn't like homeschooling her. And she was the one that had gone to school for a while, and she had changed her expectations. She was always waiting for me to tell her what to do all the time. But my children who homeschooled, they had the habit of taking charge of their learning. They were driving that bus because they'd been kind of trained to do that. And plus, think about it, we're not going to be able to teach them everything because we probably don't remember calculus or advanced biology or for the AP exams. So we want to raise them to be good self-learners. And it is so very doable and it's so pleasant. Okay, somebody else, please tell me, what's another fear that you have about homeschooling high school? Be brave, because we're all going to benefit from this, and this is just kind of sacred circle. Yes, please.
The thing that I've been thinking about a lot is, how do I do the transcript?
Okay, her question is, how do I do the transcripts? I had that concern as well, because I know myself well and I'm not great with paperwork. So for me, I joined a charter school. Charter schools are legal in California. I know that a lot of homeschoolers are against them because they feel like we've kind of given in to the devil, the school system. But my son used a charter school and it was a beautiful collaborative experience. I knew that I could not use their funds for purchasing religious supplies because of the separation of church and state, but I had a wonderful supervisor, and we did an authentic, sincere high school homeschool experience, and they took care of the paperwork for me. They did the grades, they did the units, they did the transcripts, and it just made college applications super easy. Now, you don't have to do it that way, because remember, trust yourself. Because what you're modeling for your children too, right, is do what you believe is right. Even if you're wrong, be authentic. If you're making a mistake, let it be your mistake, not somebody else's mistake, because you're doing something to make somebody else happy. That's not a recipe for a happy life. So there are lots of ways of doing it. You can register as a private school. Did you know that there are services out there? I like the Home Scholar. She either teaches you how to do your paperwork for high school, or she'll do it for you. Or some of these curriculums, they have umbrellas that keep track of the paperwork for you. So don't not homeschool high school because of the paperwork. If it's not your strength, like it wasn't my strength, find somebody who's good at it. Because you don't want to mess up the paperwork. Because at the end of it, you do want to have good applications, right, for trade schools or for college, for them to have good opportunities. Here's another interesting thing to think about. Did you know that the high school curriculum you use, it doesn't have to be accredited? It doesn't matter whether it is accredited or not. And did you know that you worry about the diploma? Did you know that when students apply to college, nobody has a diploma? Why? Because it's the fall semester of their senior year. When everybody's applying to college in October, November of their senior year, nobody has a diploma. So that is also, going to be totally fine. Isn't it funny? Those things we worry about. Yeah, so thank you. That's an excellent fear. And I think yours is an excellent example of a fear that is helpful for us. There are kind of the rash fears that we know that they're not right. They're just kind of making us anxious. We're eating off our nails. But that one was a really good one. Getting in touch with your feelings, emotions as conveyors of information. So I think that was pretty good. You probably asked yourself, okay, what am I feeling about homeschooling high school? Oh, I'm worried, I'm afraid of the transcripts. So you listen to that. You listen to that and then you go, okay, what can I do to comfort myself about that? I'm going to get help. Either I'm going to get help, or I'm going to learn a system, or I'm going to set up a system right now so that I can do it. So that was very wise of you. I think that was a really rational, good fear. Yeah. What else? What other fears do you have, rational or otherwise? Yes, please.